Great to see you back. I'm Steve, the guest host with the most, and I'm here to talk to you about something a little bit different today, something that we don't traditionally talk about here on the Total Seminars channel, and that is cybersecurity learning, specifically capture the flag scenarios. So we're going to talk about some of that today. I'm going to give chat a little bit of time to catch up. Tulawit, my good man, how are you? It's great to see all the usuals in here. Really appreciate your support. One thing I want to touch on right at the beginning is don't forget the Cyber Now Live Labs info session starts. I believe the next one is the 18th coming up, and Dave will put it up here in chat for me here in a moment. Hey, Steve, R. David, and everybody on here. N2CU, is Mike 2.0 Smyers still around? Mike Smyers is still around, Quinn. He runs the day-to-day infrastructure functionality at Total Seminars. He's an incredible asset. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to meet him over the summer when I went to shoot the video series. So yeah, very good guy. He is still around. I believe his email is just msmyers@totalsem.com if you want to shoot him an email. But maybe Dave could post his up as well. And there's the link with the next session. The info session is this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And Cyber Now Labs, they are doing some amazing things. You should definitely at least attend the info session so you can figure out if it's a good fit and how you can take part. Again, they're doing amazing things. You're welcome, Quinn. Good to see you. I trust everybody's doing well. I am right in the middle of my, we have a spring break going on right now. My wife, it's actually funny, my wife is a high school teacher. I'm a college professor, and our spring breaks are on alternating weeks. So we have a weird schedule here for the next couple weeks, but I trust everybody is doing well themselves. Good, good. You're welcome. Good to see you, Catherine. All right. So today, we talk a lot about certification training on this channel, Total Seminars. That's one of our main, driving factors and forces in life, is to create and provide you with the top tier certification training, particularly with the CompTIA products. And we have some exciting new stuff coming out soon. But I was thinking, I get approached a lot with questions of how, say you're either in a part of IT and you're thinking about wanting to test out, how cybersecurity might be, or perhaps you're in a totally different industry and you're thinking about moving over, and, costs are a concern, right? How do I maybe dip my toe in the water a little bit and figure out if this new, sector or this entire new job industry is for me? A lot of times in the past, you might just buy a book and start reading a book and figuring out if that really, tickles your fancy. Some of you might actually start just going right away into one of the certification paths. But, I have a lot of students that don't come from they don't have the ability financially typically to afford some of these things. And so I always like to talk to them about capture the flag scenarios. And capture the flags are great because they're a way to not only build upon the skills that you either want to have or you already have in information security, but also test yourself against others that may be either in the field or just entering the field. And you can kind of, if you've done any kind of, you may be familiar with the CTFs, but if you've done any kind of like competition online, they'll be very familiar to you. Most of them can either run out of a web browser. Some of them have the ability that you can connect with your own virtual machine. If you go back over the last couple of weeks, I know myself and Mike have been pitching virtual machines heavily because they allow you to really have this robust infrastructure, that you can just rapidly scale up or down as needed right here on your home PC. So you can either access those CTFs, straight through a web browser, or you can do them through virtual machines. And they just provide this very good way of putting you right into realistic scenarios. And I'm going to talk about some of my favorites today, and we're going to take a look at some of them. And we're going to start from the very basics and go to the hard ones. But all of these can be done for probably $35 or less. Most of them, actually, a good portion of them are going to be free at no cost. But again, they're excellent ways if you're thinking about transitioning into cybersecurity or information security, or getting into IT in general, and you hear the hot buzzwords, right? 9 out of 10 IT buzzwords these days is either cybersecurity or something cloud related, or cloud cybersecurity these days, right? Cloud DevOps, cloud SecOps, all that stuff that's out there. So these kind of really have a robust way of allowing you to see what you do know, what you don't know, what skills you have, because again, it's not all hard technical skills. A lot of it revolves around problem solving, right? We talk about the CompTIA troubleshooting methodology and that process that they go through, that we learn to go through to actually solve a computer problem. Well, the same type of methodology is used to solve lots of different problems and to reverse engineer a problem, to start from that step 6 and work your way all the way back, so to speak. And again, these things are just very robust platforms that allow you to test all that. And even if you don't have the hard skills, you certainly have some of the soft skills to partake in them. And a lot of them are group or team based as well. And they scale you or put you in groups that are with people with similar skill sets. So if you're just starting off, I know it sounds silly to jump into competition, have somebody tell you, hey, you should jump into competition if you're just starting off. But if you are just starting off, they're a fantastic way to get your feet wet. And I'm going to show you some of them have easy beginner challenges that they walk you through, and these fantastic scouting reports and all these other things that really make them one of the top learning tools out there. And especially if you're looking for, because so much of the time we learn and we get feedback in some way. Okay, we pass an exam. Oh, great, I got an 86. Okay, but what was the exact, where did I miss the most? What sections or categories do I need to refine or touch up on so I can turn that 86 to 100 or that 70 to a 90 or whatever it may be? And a lot of these CTFs do a great job of that with some of the scouting reports that they provide. And we're going to dig into some of those as well. Let me catch up on chat. Oh, Dave Rush and Mike Smyer. I'm not sure if we want those two brains working together. I foresee things exploding. Yes, I'm sitting in the high-tech, brand new $10.2 million Total Seminars SOC Center right now. As you can see, we're keeping an eye on all sorts of threats from all over the world, threat actors everywhere across the globe. We've got metrics going over here, Grafana, it looks like, which doesn't really fit this. And don't ask why everything's paused. Just how we like to do it. We like to stop all this data and just focus on you for this hour. Okay, alternating spring breaks, relax time, that is too. Thank you, Scott, I appreciate that, buddy. My home office is nicer than Dave's or Mike's. And next time you see Dave or Mike doing their stream, don't forget to let them know that, remind them of that. You have no qualifications, experience, or money, what should I do? Well, here's the thing. If we're talking strictly IT-based, if we're talking just strictly IT-based here, Return of Nanjing, and I hope I'm saying that right, you have to think about, if we break it down to fundamentals, right? Even if we know nothing about a company or an industry or anything like that, if we can figure out the basic of, hey, what information of theirs is valuable to an attacker, right? If we can just figure out, okay, well, let's say they process credit card data, right? So if we can figure out that they process credit card data and that financial transaction information is the most valuable to attackers, well, guess what? There are frameworks and rule sets out there in place, in NIST and NIST and amongst many other organizations, where you can actually say, okay, hey, if you're a financial services industry, this is what you use to protect against it. This is the basic framework that you need to follow to protect that data. And I think you can kind of take the same approach. And it's kind of like, if you're familiar with business, if you've ever heard of a SWOT, I think I talked about this before, but a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats table. A lot of businesses perform these to either examine new markets that they might be moving into, or maybe like examining ancillary markets to their own product or service. And they outline, hey, what am I really good at? Because you say you have no qualifications, guess what? You have qualifications. Everybody has some form of either hard skill or soft skill that they can fall back on, or that they can, and it may just be a part, you may just be like how I was early on. It was really hard for me to say anything good, right, about myself. It's very weird to talk about yourself in any sort of positive manner for me anyways. So that becomes hard. So maybe you're performing the introspection in a wrong manner, right? You're thinking you don't have qualifications when you do, but you damn well have the, some sort of soft or hard skills right there. So perform that SWOT and figure out what your strengths are, okay? Along with that, figure out what your weaknesses are. Say, hey, I'm going to be moving, if I want to move into IT, Okay, what are the things that are going to kind of prevent me, that I have my personal skills or lack thereof, or even knowledge, that kind of stuff, that's going to prevent me from doing that, and put those in the weakness category. Hey, be honest, I don't do so well with authority. Okay, I don't study so well. Okay, so these are all things that you need to compensate for and kind of identify first. And I think that's the first thing you need to do when 99 times out of 100, when somebody comes up to me and says, hey, Steve, I have no qualifications, experience, or money, they have qualifications and experience. It's just not in the exact industry or the exact job role they're looking at currently, but it does parlay. So what I would say, return of Nanjing, maybe we can talk about this a little more in depth offline. You can shoot me an email at steven@totalsem.com, excuse me. And maybe we can just talk back and forth, and I can work with you on that, because I guarantee you do have some qualifications. And if you and I can develop a little rapport, and I figure out, what you've done with your life, jobs you've worked, experiences you've had, maybe, formal, informal education, I guarantee you we can pull a lot of those similar skill sets that you would see in IT job listings. So especially if we're talking like beginner to intermediate. I mean, a lot of people don't like to talk about it these days, guys, but I'll be completely honest with you. The most surefire way to land a beginner to intermediate IT job these days is to have excellent soft skills. That's it. It's really not, you don't need to have hard technical skills. They're going to teach you every piece of software, every UI that you're going to interact with is going to be optimized for like first-time users to sit down. It's going to be highly intuitive, right? So you just need to have good soft skills. You need to be able to work well as a team. You need to be able to learn and take a loss. Like I see a lot of people these days that just can't admit they're wrong. They can't take a loss. And if you can't ever say, I was wrong, or, okay, this path I went down was wrong, let me adjust this in the future, and this is how I handle things, you're never really going to progress. So, yeah, sorry about that. As Mike says, I am a bit loquacious, Nanjing, but please reach out, steven@totalsem.com. Maybe Dave, if he's listening, can pop my email address up for you. And let's take this to offline. Yeah, Dave's got a wealth of experience as well. So let's see what he says. First task, identify your passion. Yep. What you love to do. I mean, really, really love. Yep. It's perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And again, there's always going to be something, even if you work a current job, but that isn't in IT, I guarantee you that job has some sort of IT needs, right? They have a technical support guy, or they have a network guy, or maybe they outsource it or whatever, but they have something where I'm sure if you went to your boss or your manager and said, listen, I'm really getting into IT. Is there something I can help out with on the side? I'll stay late, right? I'll work a weekend. Whatever, maybe they have a big PC rollout coming up. Maybe they're, adjusting the new CRM software at night. Just something. Keep in mind that, as with anything good in life, no one's going to just plop it down in front of you. You need to go out and seek it out. And that is the key. And just keep that in mind. Seek it out and never stop pushing. And those things will come. That is truth. Listen and learn, the rest will fall in place. Yep. Yep, listen, I'm listen and learn, fall in place. Yeah, I appreciate that, Jason. And yeah, please reach out to me, return of Nanjing. Okay. So back on track here. Back to CTFs. There are, I know, because I experienced this too when I was first getting started. Hey, DQ, good to see you. When I was first getting started in CTFs, probably, I want to say 2013. God, has it been that long? Time flies, people. Yeah, I think 2013 or so, my buddies and I first started doing some CTF competitions, or some individual CTFs, which then rolled into CTF team competitions with one of the entities I'm going to show you today. But it can be a little nerve-wracking, right? Because you're not sure what's going on. And hey, am I competing against these uber elite people and all this stuff? And let me just put your mind at ease. There are generally two major phenotypes when we talk about CTFs, okay? And those are attack defense and jeopardy. Attack defense means we have a blue team, right? A cyber defense team on one side, and we have a red team or a cyber offense team on the other side, and we're pitting them against each other. So, the red team's trying to find a vulnerability in the blue team's network while the blue team's trying to prevent any exploits or vulnerabilities from happening and patching code in real time and all this. It's a lot more advanced. And I think that's typically what people think of with CTFs. But the actual truth is 90% of them are what's called Jeopardy style, which is like, hey, it's open to everybody and you pick your category and you pick your question and you attempt to answer it. And that's where we get the name Jeopardy style. But there all are ones that are kind of one-off. And one of the first ones I want to show you today is this one-off one. Let me pull up my Zoom here, called CompTIA. So if you're familiar with Linux, you might have heard of CompTIA. I'm not sure where it actually started. I do know that there has been some form of animal say type program in just about every version of Linux I've ever used, almost out of the box, I believe. Dragons, unicorns, bears, and cows. So CompTIA is just a little Linux command and basically, or Linux program, which what it does is you type in CompTIA and then whatever word or phrase you want it to say, and it spits out a cow saying it with like a little bubble on top. I know that sounds really weird to explain, but one of the best beginner CTFs is this cow says what CTF, because it's going to test you on nothing but terminal usage, and not just terminal usage like you need to know all these commands and stuff. If we actually scroll down and take a look at the cow says, it's only quizzing you on 4 basic commands, right? Our list command, our sudo command, our copy command, and our man command, right? So we have ls, sudo, cp, and man. Those are the only, out of the 14 challenges, the only questions it's going to ask you about are those 4 commands, or using those 4 commands in some way. However, it does get very creative with it. Now, this one, you can Google this, and you'll see that it actually has an ability where you can play it right in Replit. There we go. And so you can play it actually right in Replit and make it full screen here. And once I click, and if you're not familiar with Replit, Replit is this great development engine online that you can run scripts on. This particular one you can see happens to be a Python script here. But it starts you off at question 0 and it walks you through, hey, what Linux program can make a cow say something? So you'd say, cow say, good work. How do you install the program? And so it walks you through. And the cool part about this is you don't need a Google. You can figure out all of this from the terminal. So what I suggest is to give this cow says what CTF a chance, because it's really going to refine your terminal usage, make you a little bit better at understanding the bash output that comes from that Linux CLI. And you're also going to have fun doing it as well. And again, it's completely free. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. It's completely free. It's up here on mrash.co, and I can include all these links later. Yeah, I have a link. Let me put a link here. Oop. Go ahead and stop that share. That's the CompTIA one. Sorry about that, guys. And yeah, so it's a fantastic one. You can do this yourself. All you need is a web browser with internet connectivity. I do suggest that if you're going to do this one, to, like it suggests here, to open up Ubuntu virtual machine, or load into Ubuntu and then go to this link and visit it. But it is a ton of fun. It's 14 levels, and it will take you from very beginner with the Linux CLI all the way up to at least intermediate level in those 14 levels. If you take it seriously, if you don't Google answers, everything can be had from the man command, or within terminal, you can find all the answers you need to that, and a lot of fun. So this is, and there are others like this too. There are ones that do very beginner, web type exploitation and stuff that very beginner, hardware troubleshooting. There's all sorts of different ones like this that are desktop CTFs that you can do. So I strongly suggest you take use of them. You make use of them, excuse me. How do I hide this? This is super annoying. Unpin. All right. Anybody know how to unpin this? We'll make it go to the bottom. That's fine. Okay. The next one I want to talk about, and if you have any questions as we're talking, please feel free to let me know. That's good, Scott. Trying to get used to a Mac to expand my computer knowledge. Honestly, that is probably my biggest lacking skill right now is the Mac OS. Yeah, I'm so anti Apple's ecosystem, being somebody who's into open source and right to repair and all that. I don't know, I just can't get down with it, but it does. When we were doing a lot of the development for the new A+ Udemy course that you can find on Udemy right now, myself, Mike Meyers, and Mike Smyers were all in there doing the Mac stuff, and it is really a well thought out piece of hardware, and the operating system is actually pretty efficient. But yeah, I need to brush up on that for sure. We don't have a course on CCNA yet. No, we do not. I'm not sure if that's anything we're looking at in the future. I know we did have plans years ago to do the CCENT, but they got rid of that exam and combined it into one. So my next one here to talk about is Hacker 101, hacker101.com, and then their domain here, ctf.hacker101, is a great way if you're just getting started out. It does a great job of what I call presenting digestible content, because a lot of times, you'll go to start up something like this and it'll just be information overload, right? It happens to me too. It just hits you in the face, black text on a white screen, and you're just like, oh my God, there's 72 pages to read before I even click next, right? This does a very good job of compartmentalizing that to make it more digestible for you to learn. And so I suggest Hacker 101. You can set up a profile. It's similar to some of the more advanced ones we're going to be talking about here in a moment. But it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet. That's what we're all talking about here. We're talking about getting our feet wet. We don't want to make those hard decisions on whether we're making these major life changes or transitions until we get our feet wet and see what we're good at in this industry or what we like about this particular sector in the industry. And Hacker 101 does a great job of that. Another one very similar to Hacker 101 is 24/7 CTF. 24/7 CTF, one of my favorites, simply because it rapidly, or I shouldn't say rapidly, but I think about weekly, the challenges change. And if you take a look at some of them, and again, 24/7 implies that you can access this anytime. So if you want to try a little training, Sunday after football, you can, or, Wednesday after dinner, you can. It kind of revolves around your schedule here. And they have everything from beginner tutorials, how to solve the challenges, all the way to more advanced topics and things. And they're rated different difficulties. Let's see, some of the web ones here rated easy, so you can click into those and try them. But they have all sorts of different challenges, and you'll notice that these categories you're seeing with regards to like web and reverse engineering and networking and cryptography, these are categories that are going to be consistent across the other CTFs, because these are pillar concerns in information security, pillars of concern. Next one, and one of the probably best ones you can get involved out there, is Pico CTF. Pico CTF is done by the fine folks at Carnegie Mellon University, but it's like, I think like a dozen different companies, it says somewhere on here. Yeah, so a bunch of different companies sponsor it, including Boeing and GM and Ford, the Al Grand Foundation, which is cool. That's a crypto. Cisco, the NSA, the NSF, bunch of different stuff. So it's sponsored by them, and it's cool because it's completely free. It has beginner, intermediate, expert levels on things, and on top of it, you can win prizes. Now, I don't know what the prizes are. I don't know if it tells us anywhere, but it's really cool that you can participate in something and be rewarded for it outside of just the knowledge learned, right? So this is completely free. Pico CTF is a great one as well. And now we come to one that I consider probably to be one of the best in the world. The gentleman who created this, Casey, is a fantastic individual. He's still involved behind the scenes. This has morphed from a simple CTF into this amalgamation that I'm going to show you here today. But the National Cyber League does 2 seasons each year, a spring and a fall season. And in fact, I believe the spring season is coming up. It is. Spring season starting in 2 weeks. So the cool part about this is I think it's $30 or $35 to register as a student or as a first-time learner or whatever it is. And you get 2 weeks prior to when the individual game starts, you get access to the gymnasium, excuse me. I don't know why I try to say it that way, but the gym has all the prior year challenges in it. So you can, and with helpful hints on how to walk through and solve it. So you can, it's kind of like an open playground for you. Oh, okay, I'm really weak over here at web exploitation, right? Or log analysis or whatever it may be. You can go do those challenges and kind of be walk through them. And they're the real challenges that you would see similar to, you know, in NCL and other CTFs out there. So I really like that feature. Then they have an individual game. They do like a preseason game where you get ranked based off how good you do. So you'll either be like gold, silver, or bronze tier. So you're playing amongst the same type of same skilled individuals. And then you go into the actual game, individual game, and then a team game they have a few weeks after that. It is a lot of fun. I want to show you my favorite thing about this NCL is the scoring report they do. So as you get done with after you get done with the NCL, they spit you out a scoring report. And honestly, the scoring report is probably the reason I talk up the NCL so much over the years, because it has been actually really critical in me knowing what I need to focus on as I was coming up in information security. So it's a generic one that comes up and it says, you know, a little bit about the event that happened, how many total players. And again, this is a practice one, a sample one. So this isn't a particular student, but we can see that for this particular sample student that they scored 361st place out of 6,474 in this challenge. So 95th percentile. Hey, pat on the back, 95th percentile is nothing to joke about. And it also shows like top categories here, scanning and reconnaissance, log analysis, and enumeration and exploitation. And we can see, you know, what percentile rank they had in there. Then it breaks down into the actual categories. When I said earlier that, hey, you're going to notice a lot of these categories exist across CTFs. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Here's another CTF, the National Cyber League, and here's those same categories popping up again. Cryptography, right? So we talk about encryption algorithms and breaking cryptography. Enumeration and exploitation, we talk about, hey, I've got a target online. What can I extrapolate from that target? Because keep in mind, companies aren't just going to have you know, AD server, an Active Directory server. They're going to have a file server and a web server and all these ancillary organizations connected to it. So how much of that can you identify, right? And kind of, you know, build that spider's web of connectivity, and how much of that is exploitable. And so that's what that category focuses on. Forensics, digital forensics, obviously, analyze and recover and analyze evidence. A lot of this stuff has to do with the challenges in forensics, like file carving, some steganography, which is hiding data within other data, right? You'll see steganography used a lot of times in images or movie samples or audio samples where people hide hidden messages. In fact, I believe it was Saudi Arabia, back when Saddam Hussein was still in charge, I guess you could say. They got caught sending hidden messages, I believe, during the Iraq War via steganography through images. So a lot of that is in forensics as well. Log analysis, right? Taking a look at, hey, this switch or this router or this system or whatever has these weird, you know, abnormalities in the log, things that differ from baseline. How do we identify those, and how do we figure out, you know, what's causing them? Network traffic analysis, the same thing as log analysis, except we're doing it via network traffic. Typically, this is in the form of something like a Wireshark packet capture. And Wireshark is an open source program that you can download on your system right now. You can do it, Windows, Linux, probably a Mac version. I'm not sure, but you can just capture, start it up, point it towards your Ethernet or your Wi-Fi connection, and have it start capturing packets for just a few seconds, and then go back through and look at it, and look at all that traffic and all that talking that's going on your network. It is quite interesting. And I actually, you know, do some network traffic analysis on my own LAN from time to time, because I like to establish a baseline. Like I said, if I have a baseline, then I know I can more easily sense abnormalities when they happen. So open source intelligence is fantastic. This is one of the more how would I say, more easily approachable sectors of all these CTF things. So if you're like the gentleman or the young lady earlier, I don't remember, what was it? Return of Nanjing. If you're like Return of Nanjing and think you don't have any skills or qualifications, I suggest you give open source intelligence a try, because all it revolves around is, hey, what information can you find out about something that's available online? And it may be as simple as, you know, finding a hidden Facebook profile. It may be as simple as, as organizing a Google search in a specific manner, right? Because there's all these little flags and things we can do with the Google search to drill down into information. But open source intelligence is one of those kind of, I don't want to say new frontiers, but it's being more focused on lately. And I actually just had the opportunity, I'm going to bring this over here while we're talking about it. We'll go back to that NCL score sheet, but I recently had the opportunity to become a judge for the Trace Labs open source intelligence. I forgot what they called it, World OS Int Search or something like that. But basically what Trace Labs does is they use real missing or exploited persons information, like actual people and locations and all that, and they assign them to teams. And the teams go out and search for information, try to find them, and then submit it to a judge, try to find information on them, submit it to a judge like myself, and then we score it, validate it, and send it on. It's really cool because, it helps out actual people. We actually helped, I think, like 5 or 6 people on this last event. And when I say help, I can't get really too far into it, but, these are missing or exploited people. So you can imagine the kind of help they need. And it's a lot of fun to get in because you can jump right in, just bare bones. You get paired up with a team. Some people might know what they're doing, some people won't, but it's free and you'll have fun doing it, and you'll be doing it for a good cause, right? I think the more we can surround ourselves, and not to sound too silly, but the more we can surround ourselves with shared philanthropic goals, I think the better we'll be as human beings. So if you can learn, get valuable skills, get a digital badge, and help human beings out while doing so, why not give it a shot? So I really like Trace Labs. I love the mission of those people. And again, I would definitely suggest you click that Get Involved button and try it out. Back to the scoring report here so I can close out this. Y'all can also see we have password cracking, right? So everything from simple MD5 passwords all the way to SHA-256. Some of that may be available online on certain password cracking websites. Some of it you may have to do yourself via command line. So it's usually typically one of the more robust categories. Scanning and reconnaissance. So basically, once you isolate a target, finding the vulnerabilities on that target, finding any information that helps you exploit those vulnerabilities on a target. And then, of course, our web application exploitation, So there's a lot of things by default that some websites, if they're not protected, are vulnerable to, cross-site scripting and SQL injection and all sorts of stuff like that. So this pretty much covers those sections here. Now, with all that said, the really cool part about this is when we start drilling into the scoring reports analysis of each individual module. For instance, like this gentleman or lady's cryptography module here, we can see that, okay, cryptography, if I just see that, I might not click on that, right? Because it might be a little tough to figure out just by, people have an aversion to cryptography. But if we look, it actually is broken up into easy, medium, and hard challenges. And they give various points for them, and completion percentage, it shows you in your accuracy how many times you guessed right versus wrong. So again, even though some of these seem intimidating by title alone, I think they are excellent intro points for a lot of the InfoSec stuff. Here's our steganography down here, easy. And again, you can choose, remember, if you join something like the National Cyber League, they're going to have that gymnasium up for 2 weeks beforehand. So you can get practice with a lot of similar type challenges before actually moving into the competition itself. And I just want to take a look at, let's see, one more here, like the open source intelligence one, unknown hashes, hacker location, stolen camera, Tom's Hotel. Okay, those might be a little bit too difficult. But yeah, so a lot of, here we go. So easy password cracking. We already know the encryption algorithm on this one, MD5, SHA-1 and SHA-256 here. So very, very varied. And then you can see there's actually some hard challenges with our old friend Kali Linux here. Very cool stuff. Anyways, National Cyber League, fall and spring games. I am a coach for the National Cyber League. So if you are starting a team or possibly, want to do individual game and want me to help you with the preseason, because as a coach, I can't help with I can only help with the team game, not the individual. Let me know. I'll help you with the preseason, and we'll go through that. It is a ton of fun, and I always enjoy doing that. Okay, next up, one you may have heard of, and that is TryHackMe. TryHackMe is fantastic because it has guided silo pathways, learning paths. So if I come in and a large portion of this is free, but if I come in and I'm, trying to figure out what I want to do in IT or in InfoSec, they actually already have pathways to walk you through. Hey, I'm not sure. Let me just take an intro to cybersecurity. And you click in that, and it has all these different rooms that are set up, sections that walk you through everything. Look, intro to offensive, intro to defensive, careers in cyber, all this really cool stuff that you can do. I'm going to click intro to offensive security so I can see that. And you'll notice that I really love the way TryHackMe does things, but everything is all in these accordion menus, which makes it real cool. But they walk you through, hey, how to do your first machine, start the machine up here, open a terminal, and they actually walk you through and give you examples of everything you're going to do. And then they have you actually answer it. So it kind of becomes your own mini CTF. But TryHackMe is fantastic. Lots of different paths to go down here. Just about almost everything you can want with information security is here, and all sorts of modules. I have some custom ones that I did for my classes as well. It is a very robust system. It is a lot of fun. Of course, the old gangster, the OG hack the box. I couldn't talk about capture the flag scenarios and competitions without mentioning HTB, but HTB has been around probably the longest out of all of them. It was a very basic website for many, many years, and it looks like lately, probably last couple of 3-4 years since I've used it, they've been putting money and time into beefing up its presence. But it has, again, walking through from level 0 all the way to the end, and you walk through essentially hacking a box, hacking a server, hacking a company, and it does a very fantastic job of walking you through it. So Hack the Box is good. Also, keep your eye out for different company capture the flags. This one is Google. Google has this one. They do capture the flag with google.com. They do this a couple times a year. The last one, I think, was just in December or November of this past year. But different companies, Meta and Twitter and Google and Microsoft and all these companies have these CTFs or have these what's called bug bounties. These bug bounty programs where they basically will provide sections of their infrastructure or new software or something and try to find problems with it. Now, this is different from the bug bounty stuff, right? Because the bug bounties, you're not actually finding a flag, right? You're letting them know, hey, something's broke here. But the training and knowledge you get from participating in these helps you out greatly with those bug bounty programs. And if you get into like bug bounty chasing, I mean, it's some decent money. I know people that make tens of thousands of dollars a month just finding bugs in infrastructure and platforms and software that these major companies roll out. And there's a big bug bounty programs worldwide. National Security Agency has them, CIA has them, FBI has them, every police force has them. So it is definitely something that's needed. And these ones that are put out by these individual either service providers or these large software providers, or in this case Google, do a really good job of touching on those things that knowledge you would need to be successful at the bug bounty programs. And the last one before I come and check out the chat is my personal favorite one. Every year during Christmas, we get about a week and a half, 2 weeks off as teachers and professors, and I always take part in KringleCon and the holiday hackchallenge.com. Basically, the premise is each year something goes wrong in Santa's workshop and around, and you have to help, decipher what's going on. And the cool part about it is it stays up all year, so you can continue to play it, and you can look at some of the answers and winning entries. But it's not just hands-on with tools. There's actually like little mini games to play and all sorts of other stuff. It's really hard to describe if you haven't done it before, but it's completely free. SANS is one of the more advanced certification exam providers, or I should just say certification entities in the IT industry. So getting used to their platform, networking with those people, getting familiar with, obviously they're putting stuff into these challenges for these CTFs that they're seeing out in the field, that they're witnessing with their clients. So this is all very good information for you to have. But you can go back and you can play these throughout the year, actually go in and do the KringleCon and get started on it and actually go through all the challenges that were there. I believe they have them for each year as well. But you can go back and play all the previous ones, and it is a lot of fun. Again, not just about hacking tool usage in here. A lot of it is, how do you approach a problem, or how do you approach reverse engineering something? And again, that's mostly all soft skills, a lot of that. So all right, so that was a quick rundown on what I think are the best CTFs for you to get started. Again, very, very beginning started. You don't have to compete against anybody. Do stuff like those cow says what ones, right? Go back through, just do your browser-based ones, or ones that you can just do within your Ubuntu VM or whatever you have. And then as you feel more comfortable with it, right? We always talk about in this channel, right? Repetition breeds familiarity. Familiarity breeds confidence. As you expose yourself to something more, a new skill, a new tactic, a new challenge more, you're going to become more familiar with it. The more familiar you become with something, the more confident you are in your ability to perform that task, or, deal with whatever that something is. And the same thing goes with CTFs in life. So as you become more comfortable with them, start moving towards the ones where you're just kind of doing like the 24/7 CTF, right? Or the Hacker 101, where you're on a rankings board, right? You're on a leaderboard somewhere, but you're not really worried about it. You're not competing against people. And then as that familiarity turns to confidence, start reaching out. Pico CTF, the National Cyber League, try Hack Me, all these great things where you can compete against other people and really put your skills to the test. But again, all of those, with the exception of 2, are completely free. So, I hear people talk a lot, what do I got to do to break into the industry? Hey, these CTFs are a great thing. Low to no cost, an extreme amount of knowledge and skills you will gain. And I mean, just by going through them and learning those technologies, learning the topologies, learning the lingo, you're going to poise yourself to do better on those entry level or those first run interviews you're going to get into, right? Because these IT interviews these days aren't no joke, I'm telling you. Some of them, I went through, I think, 4 rounds of interviews recently, and one of them was almost 6 stages. So picture meeting 6 stages for an interview and doing candidate assessments and meeting with an HR team, and then, C-suite team, and then the IT guys. And it's just, it's brutal. So the better you can prepare yourself for those interviews, right? The better you can prepare yourself for all of that stuff, the better off you're going to be. And again, learning the lingo, learning the tactics, learning the tools, learning all that stuff here in the CTFs is an excellent start. So I think I just talked for like 30 minutes straight. I apologize, people. Let me catch up on some chat. And if you have any questions, please put them in the channel right now. You're quite welcome, Return of Nanjing. Unlock this iPhone someone gave me. Hey, that does bring up an interesting question. I always like to see and get people's thoughts. When you secure your phone, which hopefully everybody secures your phone, do you do it with a pin? Do you do it with a pattern? Do you do it with like some sort of retinal scan or a thumbprint scan or something? What is your preferred method of securing your mobile device, and why? Currently on SOC level 1 path. That's awesome, DQ. Where are you doing that with? Cyber Now? Caught up. Not many questions today. I keep my mobile, my gun safe. Good old Dave. Dave, have you just been perfecting these, or you're naturally this witty? I don't know if you've been perfecting these over the years with Mike, and you're hitting me with them all at once, but they are quite good. Yes, it is good to see people, all new faces and ages and skill sets here. That's the key too. This is when you join IT, specifically when you come in like underneath the Total Seminars umbrella, and you guys have noticed with like Tullowit and the Discord channel and all that stuff. I mean, we really are a community here. If you at me on the Discord, I'm going to respond as when I have time to at the first available time that I have to respond. But we're a very big community here, so don't feel bad about leaning on any of us. All of us here have taken and possibly all failed a certification exam from time to time, right? All of us have done CompTIA training, certification. So again, feel free to utilize this community. That's one of the best things about the IT world, I would say, is that I think we have a little more camaraderie, I've found, than most things, because we do have a shared mission typically, right? Either something's broke and we're trying to fix it, or something works well and we're trying to make it work better. That's typically the two missions in IT. So don't be afraid to lean on people. We are a community for a reason. Is it possible to add CTF skills? Yeah, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. I would put under experience, like, hey, I've competed in these types of CTFs or whatever. If you have a website, or if you have a GitHub or anything like that, or a LinkedIn, maybe even link them to the scouting report from that, so they can get, if they want to click on it and get individualized information on, what specific area your skills primarily reside in. But in the actual skills section on your resume, all that stuff you could literally go through that like National Cyber League scouting report that's available free on their website, and say, hey, I've got experience with cryptography and enumeration and exploitation and log analysis and network traffic analysis, and put that underneath skills. And if you feel bad, you can put beginner, or learning, or intermediate, whatever applicable skill level you have. But then I would always keep it as general as possible, and use the time when you get the interview time, if they ask about it, to clarify. When did you do log analysis? Well, in particular, most recently, I tackled this difficult challenge that was based upon, syslog servers, and it was for the the spring NCL challenge, right? So you can kind of, it's still going to be topical. It's still going to be what they're looking for. It's just all about the way you approach handing them that information. And so I would just list it as a skill. And then when it comes up in the resume, because they'll be like, wow, you're just starting off and you have all these, you have some of these key skills that we look for. How did you achieve those? Or, where did you last employ those skills? Boom. And you tell them, hey, look, I just competed in the NCL spring games, and look at this. I scored, in the top 100 in the world, top 1,000 in the world, whatever it may be. And this was my first formal competition, or my first formal CTF. These are the areas where I had, I scored the best in. And they start digging into those challenges. You have the data right there to show them. You could say, hey, this is exactly what I did to obtain this type of expertise. So I would just put it in skills, and then I would double dip and add the CTF itself into your experience section too. After all your actual work experience, list experience that you're doing on the side, personal experience, volunteer experience, all that stuff. I would put it right in there as well. Because CTFs, again, anything you're doing that's ancillary, or that's outside, extracurricular of your normal job, is stuff that you're doing in your own time to better yourself. Especially if you're trying to get in the IT industry, you should make that known. You should be like, hey, this isn't, I didn't just go to school for this or anything. I work here and I'm trying to get here, so I'm devoting a lot of my own personal time to this. And I personally feel that bodes well to employers. They like that. They like seeing people that don't just, I'm not saying just make it 9 to 5, but that don't just look at it as a job or a career, or a means to an end. They look at it as that exciting next leap of their life, or that thing they want to be involved in, right? That industry that captures everybody, which IT industry really does. It's one of the most diehard industries right now. So yeah, that would be my answer right there. Discord channel is a great place to get more in-depth answers to questions and help with issues. It really is. There's probably about, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 rooms there, each with a different topic, and very active. And again, communities are key. There's a plethora of experience, a wealth of knowledge in these communities. You can lean on it, ask people questions. Nothing is too dumb. I guarantee you haven't asked a dumber question than I've asked in my life. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. There's the Total Seminars Discord invitation. We are down to about the last 10 minutes or so. I do want to take another moment here to remind, first of all, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for attending. I know I kind of rambled for the last 30, 35 minutes, but I really believe that this information is pertinent to you. If you're looking for a career in information security and cybersecurity, or even just IT in general, a lot of these are great side skills to have. Even if you go in for a PC tech job, help desk job, a junior systems admin job, and some of these skills already, I mean, you're going to be a shoo-in. the employer's already thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to use him here as well, or I'm going to be able to use her here as well. So again, they're a great way to get your feet wet on there. I appreciate you listening to me ramble. We have about 10 minutes left. I do want to just touch on again, this Saturday, the 18th, is the CyberNow Labs info session. Thank you. Coming up March 18th at 11 a.m. Yeah, and definitely get involved. Take advantage of as much training and as much absorbing yourself, jumping in feet first that you can. The CyberNow people are fantastic. I mean, you have the experience that is on those panels. It's just amazing. So definitely take advantage of that. Take all that training that you can. What do you think the system information keep automatically opening one of pieces with them? Oh. Information can open on one of my PCs. I have no idea, Dr. Quinn. We could take that to Discord though, and I can help you troubleshoot. That'd probably be the easiest way if you can send me some screenshots. I will admit, I'm probably like many of you. I skipped as much as possible of Windows 8 and 8.1. 8.1 was better than 8, but they're still pretty much abominations. So it's been a while since I've had hands-on with that. I pretty much went from 7 to 10. And I've been 10 for the last 4 years, 5 years. I don't even know how many years it's been now. So I don't know, but let's take some screenshots and take that to the Discord, and I can definitely help you walk through disabling it, identify what's causing it, and disabling it. Doing a new vid series for TS in the future. Yeah, we've got a couple new that are coming out on Udemy. I think we're also in the finals of deciding some new certification training coming up. So I may be flying to Houston here this summer, which will be great. I get to hang out. Hopefully, Mike invited me last time to hang out at his place. He calls it the compound. So I'm coming. I'm coming, Mike. I want another steak at Perry's, buddy. And I'm coming to hang out at the compound. I believe that'll be in June or July. We'll be doing that. And so that'll be, again, fall release if it does happen with those certification stuff. But we do have in the next month and a half, a couple of courses on IT career pathways. I think that's very important to talk about. People don't really understand categorically how everything fits in information technology. So we're kind of breaking down how each one, what each job actually category consists of, all the little sub jobs that come out of it, how to get into those, like the best path forward to get into them, how to relate your current skills to each one of those jobs. So that's one series. And then we're also doing one that kind of, we talk a lot about taking these exams, but we want to really examine the finesse of taking the exam. So how do you go about learning best? How do you figure out what type of learner you are? How do you perform that introspection? How do you actually study for any exam? How do you study for a certification exam? Where do you find all these resources, right? You've got simulations and performance-based questions and practice exams and books and video series. Oh my, you've got all this stuff, right? And so we're kind of building this course to corral all that, to make it a more, again, I love the term digestible, but a more digestible process for everybody, because and we're just packing answers to all these questions we get. I mean, we get hundreds of it sounds silly, but we get hundreds of phone calls and emails a week on some of the very basic intro stuff that we feel like we can cover really well compared to everybody else. And so we've just been packing as much information into these courses as possible. And those should come out in the next month or two, but that'll be cool. Solved problem, upgraded to Win 10. I agree, Dave. I didn't want to say that directly, but that would be my solution too. Dave, do we have are we doing a giveaway today, Dave? Hey, I appreciate that, Patricia. Your call on the giveaway. Okay, let's do a giveaway and we'll make it real simple. And you'll have to get with Dave after this or on the Discord. I believe Dave will post the information. At the beginning of this chat on CTFs, I mentioned a chat that uses a particular animal program. It uses a particular animal. What is that animal? And again, only answer if you would like the course, the giveaway that Dave has. What is that animal in the CTF that I mentioned at the very beginning of this talk? Cow, Patricia, ding, 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 ding. Patricia, you've won an all expenses paid trip to Cabo San Lucas, paid for by Total Seminars. Just reach out to David Rush to claim your prize. And obviously I'm kidding. But Patricia, would you like, I think you've won before, so would you like the Total Tester package? Nice. Well, you're going to need some sunblock, Patricia, because with this Total Tester, your future is going to be so bright, you're going to have to wear shades. Good job. Patricia and Scott both got it. I appreciate that. The cow says, what CTF? It is fantastic. Again, oh, you don't need it. Scott, would you like it, Scott? Scott, would you like access to a Total Tester since you were the second correct answer? Well, if it was in startup, it would only open up at startup then. If it's periodic while the desktop's running, that's, I mean, I was going to suggest that, but that's what would be weird for me. It almost seems like it's a background process somebody set up or something weird. All right, Scott. So go ahead and if you want the access to the Total Tester, A+ and Net Plus certified, Patricia, fantastic. I think I missed the Net Plus. I remember the A+, but congratulations. And don't plan to sit for the Sec Plus for a while. Okay, cool. So Scott, send your YouTube name, your real name, your email address, and look on the TotalSem.com site for the Total Tester package you would like. Congratulations. Yeah, Sec Plus. Yes, it will help tremendously. There's a big bank of practice questions there. So that's fantastic, Scott. I'm glad it went to somebody that can use it and that's actively studying for the Security Plus. By the way, if you need any help studying for that Security Plus, if you have any questions, again, don't be afraid to reach out to either Mike Meyers, the infamous Alpha Geek himself, at michaelm@totalsem.com, or me, Stephen N, at totalsem.com, or David R at totalsem.com, or check us out in the Discord, or email us through the website, or whatever it may be. You can also check out my website, steveisit.com, or my LinkedIn, which I'm sure was posted somewhere through here. But I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I believe Mike will be back with you guys next Monday. He and I have been collaborating on some cool content for the upcoming, well, I can't say too much, the upcoming chats we're going to be having. But yeah, so good stuff going on behind the scenes. If you need anything, reach out. I hope if you're having spring break this week or next, I hope you have a happy and safe and fun spring break. And I look forward to seeing you guys again really soon. Take care and have a wonderful day.